Hey, so welcome everyone for this morning's study group for Human Design and Gene Keys. And today we're going to be taking a look at the gates that are in the sign of Leo in the Human Design system. So um, we left off on gate 56 last week. We didn't get quite to it, but we did talk about it at the beginning of last week's presentation or discussion and in the sign of Cancer. So we'll start out with gate 56, and in the middle of gate 56, it changes from the sign of Cancer to the sign of Leo. So that's something to be aware of because the behavior of the gate will change because it's changing signs. So as we know, the sign of Cancer has to do with like a mothering energy, home, nesting, taking care of the home and nurturing. And then Leo changes to what you love, changes to creativity, a theme of creativity and children. So it will feel different when it changes from one sign to the next. And um, funny thing, I think I may have briefly shared this week that I have two sisters that were born the same day in July 22nd. And that happens to be the day when, good morning, Catherine, the 22nd of July happens to be the day where that is the day that change occurs from the sign of Cancer to the sign of Leo. And for many years in our family, we thought that our one sister was Cancer because we thought both of them were in the sign of Cancer, when in fact, the one sister is the sign of Cancer, but the other one is at step zero, Leo. So the one is at step zero, step 29, Cancer, and the next one, the other sister, is step zero, Leo. So that causes them to have like drastic differences in their behavior and how they express themselves and their focus in their life. Um, Both of them are very creative, but the one is more creative than the other. For example, she'll decorate the home. She has a tree that she literally in her office where she does energy work, she changes out the decorations depending on what season it is or what um uh like whatever holiday it is. I'm sure coming up very quickly, if she hasn't already done it, she will have redecorated that tree so that it goes for St. Patrick's Day. And then the next one, she'll probably decorate it for Easter and then so on. So it's very interesting because she's very particular about how she does that and how she uses her creative self-expression. And my other sister, she's more uh, like she deals with real estate and for a large corporation, and she travels. So the gate 56 has to do with traveling and storytelling. And the one sister that works for the large corporation, she will check on properties. She'll make sure that the ranches are being taken care of properly. She helps with like where all the borders are around the properties. And as we know, the sign of Cancer is opposite of Capricorn, but since it's part of her life theme, she's very good at bringing that structure to the like how the properties, the record keeping and the blueprints and all the layouts of the properties, and making sure that the cattle are being taken care of properly, and keeping track of all the outbuildings and all that kind of stuff. So you can see this is two completely different energy fields. My one sister, she's very much the one that's super creative, that's the Leo energy. She is she does energy work. She's very sensitive. So at step 0, she's very sensitive to like the, I guess, the quantum realm or otherworldly energies like auric field energies, um, the 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 field on the other side of our physical plane. So two totally different people, but with the same gate 56 as their conscious sun gate. So tell me, share in the thread here, what gate 56, how it's defined in your chart, whether it's colored in white or if it is colored in, and if the center that it's connected to, which is the mind center, and I will share my screen real quick so you can see where it's at and what we're talking about. But if you want to go ahead and share what your activations are for gate 56 in your chart, then we can take a look at how that behaves inside of your chart. So here on the mandala wheel, we have in the sign of Cancer, we can see gate 56 switches to the sign of Leo here in the middle of it, actually on the high side of gate 56. And then we have, oh, I didn't bring up, hang on just a second. I am going to go grab my little graphic. Mara says, I have 56 open, so it's colored in white, and the center is defined. So Maris, you'll have a fixed way of thinking, but you'll have a flexible way of sharing stories, or when you want to go traveling, or going out and about and engaging in the world or with your community. So you'll have a different way of sharing and expressing. So I need to get back to my little screen here. Oh, there's a new message. Raquel says the same thing. Okay, so the thing to be mindfully aware of, it is on the mind center, pun intended here. So the excuse me, it's not on the mind center. Oh my goodness, I'm getting myself all mixed up. It's on the throat center, not the mind center. Forgive me. I better bring up my my graphic here. I think I'm not 100% awake from this morning. Oh, I don't want to enable my AI companion. Okay. I'm really not into the AI thing. I hope it doesn't keep showing us that banner. Okay. All right, so the gate 56 is on the throat center, so forgive me. So Maris is your throat center, and Raquel, is your throat center colored in or not, and your gate 56, because I got us all mixed up there, so we need to start on that again. So if you have your throat center colored in, then you'll have a dependable way of expressing your voice or verbalizing out in the world. And because the 731 channel is defined through the gates in Leo here, I ideally should have had these colored in. I didn't catch that when I was creating this graphic. But gate 56 has to do with, because it's connected to the throat center, it will have to do with what you're expressing out in the world, what you're verbalizing, what you're sharing, the stories you're telling. So if you have gate 56 activated in your design, you may wish to have a podcast or a blog, or may enjoy doing going live on Instagram or Facebook or something like that, or YouTube. That may help you to get your stories out into the world. And a blog is more quiet if you're kind of a shy person. So because you can plan a little bit more before sharing. But in a family unit or in your community, this could look like you going out and connecting with people, going to classes, delivering classes, sharing with people that you click with. Mara said, let's see. David has gate 56 colored in white, and the throat center is defined. So David, you'll have a dependable or fixed way of sharing your ideas and your stories, but the way that you share your stories, or and this goes for Maris and Raquel as well, because it looked like you have all three of you the same. Um, you'll have a flexible way of sharing stories, things that have happened to you in your life, your travels or your life journey. You'll have a flexible or varying way of doing that, depending on who you're with. Like you might notice, oh, when I'm with Aunt Susie, I share my stories this way. Or when I'm with my dad, the stories sound this certain way. David says, I've actually worked as a storyteller. Very good. Awesome. Okay, let's see. Okay, very good. So I didn't get you all mixed up. Very good, Maris. Thank you. And Catherine says, I have 56 colored in red. So it's unconscious activation and not connected to anything. Sometimes get energy. So Catherine, do you mean your throat center is colored in white? Is that what you mean? It's not fixed, which would be black. Yes, well, if it's colored in red or black won't matter. It means that it is fixed. Yes, so fixed means that it's a dependable energy. You can depend on it. It's behaving in a certain way for you in your life. That's what it means. So um, maybe you have a specific style of book that you like to read, and then you share that with your children. So maybe you like, for example, when I was growing up, I loved fantasy novels. Uh, I would read Anne McCaffrey novels or books that she had written, and they're all about dragons. So there's a dragon theme right there, right? Um, so that would be a good example of if your gate 56 is colored in. Now, my gate 56 is not. I have gate 11 at the other end of the channel. So that gives me access to gate 56. But when we have a gate that's colored in the channel and the other gate in the opposite end is colored in white, we have a potential of amplifying the energy of that gate. So let's say your gate 56, because it sounds like all of you here today have gate 56 colored in, whether it's colored in red or black. If you got the chart from me, it will be colored in purple because that's my branding. But if it's colored in and you have gate 11 colored in white, that gate 11, the theme of it will be like harmony, trying to create harmony or access ideas or bring ideas into the world, um, and with the intention of bringing the ideal harmony into your life or into the world. And that could get all blown out of proportion because you won't know which ideas to light on, which ones are for you to share or focus on in your storytelling. So it can get really blown out of proportion. And this, since the gate 11 in this case we're talking about would be colored in white, then this is a place where you're open to conditioning by your environment. This could be by family members or the environment you're in, or a school teacher or a sibling or something. So tell me, is your gate 11 colored in that channel? Do you have the whole entire channel, or is it only gate 56 that you have colored in? I'll just wait for a moment. Catherine says only gate 56 colored in, 11 is white. So you could have gotten conditioned, and you probably did, in your environment by the beliefs of your grandparents and your parents, school teachers, siblings, um, conditioned to think in a certain way, and that would affect how you're sharing the stories of your travels in your life. So I'm hoping that that's making sense. Your style of the way that you share those stories, the experiences you've had in your life, things that you've heard from other people in your travels as you go about in the world. So platforms that would be ideal for a Gate 56 to be sharing stories is, as I said, YouTube, blogs, Rumble, uh, Brighteon, whichever platform you're drawn to, your own blog, a group in Facebook. All of these things are lovely places that the Gate 56 would enjoy being. Okay. All right, so let's look at, we have our I Ching primer here. And I'm going to pull out Shaitan's book so we can get, I turned right to it. That was awesome. So we can look at our theme of, I turned to gate 11, not 56. I almost headed off into gate 11. So gate 56, the gate of the wanderer. And down here in Shaitan's book, you can see that the channel is colored in, defined in this graphic, and it is part of the channel of curiosity. And for some reason, the camera is, there we go. The channel of curiosity. So it's in the collective sensing circuitry. That means it's has a right-brained energy. It's very creative. It has an energy of the collective, meaning connecting with your community. And of course, we already took a look at that it's connected with the throat center. And then in our step astrology in Serious Joy, it goes from step 26 in Cancer up to step 2 in Leo. And we talked about the differences that causes moving through the sign of Cancer into Leo. And then taking a quick look at our illustrated primer for the I Ching from Barry Trosper. And I think somebody mentioned last week, maybe it was Jessica. She's not on here with us today. She hopped on and purchased. I was going to ask her if she had gotten it in the mail yet. So the gate 56, it is fire above. So the upper trigram is fire and the lower trigram is mountain, keeping still, stillness and silence. So the fire element in this hexagram helps bring clarity, shine a light on what's really happening in the storylines, and then it brings deep inner stillness in the lower trigram. And the description here from Barry, he says, it's traveling. Traveling brings vulnerability and difficulty to be firmly resolved. So if you can imagine, you're taking your trailer out in modern times and you've packed everything, but you forgot your cooking stove. So now when you get your dinner out to cook, you can't cook your meal. And so now you're going to have to resolve that difficulty and how you're going to cook your meal out camping now that you've realized you forgot your cooking stove. So those kind of little things that can happen when you're traveling. And then in the I Ching, the name of this hexagram is Lu. It's spelled Lu. Lu is depicted as the lodging quarters or inn sheltering the travelers, but it does not show the difficulties which may be found within. Lu is a time associated with traveling or wandering, characterized by small attainments and the necessity to firmly resolve difficulties to promote good fortune. This time speaks of exposure and vulnerability to difficulties, with certain lessons for preparedness when in unknown places and guarding against overbearing behavior. Overbearing behavior. It's interesting. Um, hmm. Let me look here for a sec. Probably being too forward. I'm just looking at the prophecies section and seeing. Yeah, I think just being too forward. The sixth line, it says it has to do with potential for arrogance and recklessness. So really watching what's going on as you're going about. Catherine says, I haven't traveled much, but I moved 26 times. That applies, Catherine. That's what we're talking about here. That is really a lot. So do you get the chance to unpack? Because that just sounds like a lot of movement. Was it mostly when you were a child? Like, was your one of your parents in the army, or like that caused you to be moving around all the time, or your spouse? My throat's really dry this morning. I'm going to show you the picture. I love this. It kind of reminds me of The Hobbit when Frodo and his friends headed out on their adventures. It has somewhat of a feeling like that. Or I guess it's more of the Lord of the Rings. I guess, yeah, the Lord of the Rings when Frodo and Merry and Pippin start heading out on their adventures. Catherine says, no, moving as a child only 4 times. After my father died, I was 19 and moved for financial reasons. I like meeting few people, meaning you do like meeting people or not meeting. Oh, new people. I think the F got stuck in there. Okay. New people. That's part of this energy. Because if you notice, I'm going to share my screen here. There's little elements that are fascinating when you start looking at the body graph itself. So the gate 56, see how it comes right up here? So the abstract sensing circuitry is collective, meaning it has to do with connecting with community, and it has to do with sharing stories. So remember when we talked about gate 35, it's all about sharing stories, and see how it just connects or bridges directly across there. So this is in the same circuitry. So again, the collective sensing circuitry is the 4764. It crosses across the mind center. So has to do with, to give you a picture, it's out in your community. Whatever the storyline of the gate or hexagram is, it will it will reach out and connect with your community in some way by taking classes or going to 4th of July celebrations, or the parade out in community, or going to the fair or whatever. Sharing art, having a creative way of doing and being in the world, and connecting with your community. So it comes down here, the 1156, all the way down the 3536 channel, 3144, and then it comes up and crosses along over here to the 4253 channel, and then crosses back over the sacral center and heads up the 2946, the 1333. Did I get that? I'm hoping I didn't do that incorrectly. No, it was here. Yeah, nope, I got it right. And it goes straight back up and follows all of these channels up. So you can see it kind of it makes this funny little jig jag in here and goes on the outside. So this is creativity. It's very right-brained, um, uh, connecting with community. So the 56 is wanting to connect with community. It's wanting to share beliefs, ideas, thoughts. If you have a child in your home that's constantly telling stories, and also, just a heads up with the 56, you could tell fiction stories. They don't even need to be true. They don't need to have truthism. I know there's a big thing in the world because of what's happened in the last 5 years with in the world with, and all of you know what I'm talking about. Um, we've had a hard time knowing who's telling us the truth or not now, right? So everyone is wondering and they're wanting to know what the real thing is happening and how we're going to know. And the importance of the human design system right now is to listen to our own individual strategy and authority so that we know what's true for us to be listening to and where to be drawn to and which stories to believe or not. So, an individual with the gate 56 defined in their chart, they may share stories, but it's not that individual's responsibility to make sure that people know it's true reality or not. It could be totally fiction and made up, like just like I mentioned, Anne McCaffrey's stories, the dragon books that she wrote, the series, totally fiction, right? Maybe in another realm or another world or another plane of existence, that would be reality. But here in the earth plane in 3D form that we are experiencing right now, that is totally fiction. But she doesn't need to prove herself. She doesn't need to convince us it's real or not. So someone can tell stories, a tall tale like Paul Bunyan or, whatever, or Pecos Bill. Those are tall tales, right? But the storyteller, it's not their responsibility to prove that it's real or not. It's up to the listener. So back to our body graph again. We have the listener here. See how they're all connected with each other. And the 33, the listener and the prodigal, meaning returning back home, telling the stories of their travels. All of these are connected with each other with storytelling and listening. It's the listener's responsibility to notice if the story, if they believe, I'm going to go back there again. If they believe that the story is real or not, and sharing it. And are we going to keep sharing this story? And how does it get us up in arms? Are we excited about it? Are we booing and hissing? Are we going, yay, tell us some more? Grandpa, please tell me some more stories, right? So he could have just told us a tall tale. I have an uncle in my family. He was born and raised in southern Utah in Kanab, and one of his nieces when she was going to Brigham Young University, one of her things was to write, get in touch with an older member of the family and tell stories, like interview them and record the stories and write a book. And she wrote that book, and I can't remember what it's called, but he was a character and a half. And one of the stories that he told, he a couple of them. This is funny, you guys. Oh my goodness, he must have been a hoot. I think I only met him once when I was small. His name is Roland Ryder, Ryder spelled Ryder. And he shared a story, I guess when he was an older man. He's out on his horse, and he and another gentleman, they were drunk. They were terribly drunk, and to the point where they could hardly sit on the horse. And they were out, and the groundhogs kept poking, or the ground squirrels kept poking their heads up out of their holes. And they would see these ground squirrels. And he said, the one gentleman says, he goes, it's an ostrich. And they were slurring their speech and everything. It's an ostrich. And he goes, it's not an eagle, it's an ostrich. So I think I got that mixed around. He kept saying it was an eagle, but then he told his friend, it's not an eagle, it's an ostrich. And so all the ends were slurred together and everything. And she told about that story. And then also there was another one, and this is good because we have Gate 56 going on here that we're talking about. But there was called the Rollaway Saloon. Now, in our community here in Utah, the LDS or Mormon religion, Latter-day Saints, these are the people that settled this area. So this is really funny because they were not engaged in drinking. However, the husbands would go to this rollaway saloon. And the reason it was called that is because it had these big, long poles underneath the actual structure of the saloon. It was right on the border of Arizona, or I don't know if it was New Mexico or Arizona, right there. Now my geography is catching up with me. I don't know if it's Arizona or New Mexico that's sitting right there. Either way, it doesn't matter. The women would wonder where their husbands were, and they would get upset. And if they saw the women coming from the Utah side, the men would get out and push the saloon over the border. And if the women from the other state would come, then they'd push it back over the other way. So it's just a hilarious stories that he told, I know, it's just so funny. And then another story he told that stood out to me, is he was young. It sounded like he might have been 11 or 12 or something. He was strong enough because of what happened. But there was a family member that had passed away. And in those times, they would, lay the person's body out on the kitchen table. And the women would get them all dressed and prepared, and they would have the funeral and put them in the box and put them out in the ground, because you can't waste any time at that time. They didn't have a way of preserving the individual. So they were having this funeral in the kitchen and living room in this home of the family member, and there was a railing out on the porch. And what happened was he went in there. He was young enough that he didn't understand what happens when someone dies, and this person just sat straight up, and he knew they were dead. And so it just threw him into a panic, and he ran off the front porch and broke the railing, and took it with him. So he had to have been old enough that he took that railing right off the front porch because he was so scared because this person sat straight up. So just funny stuff. So this is the energy we're talking about of Gate 56. It's not the storyteller's responsibility to say whether this happened or not. Is an eagle not an ostrich, or the rollaway saloon? Did that really happen? I have no idea. I suspect some version of it was going on because of the funny cahoots that was happening. Most of my family settled the Kanab area in Utah, and the area shows it when you go to the town there. There's just a sense of humor that is present there. So very, very funny stuff. All right. Okay. Mara says on the 11, both in Defiant Center. Yes, he tells stories. So your son has 11 and 56. So he could just go, tell funny stories. The important thing to remember is if your child is telling stories and they have Gate 56, to not overemphasize whether or not they're pretending in their storytelling and forcing them to have to look at reality and share reality, because they're not necessarily here to share what's really going on. That can injure the individual if we're not careful. Okay. All right. Gate 56. Let's move forward to the next gate. We have Gate 31 in the sign of Leo. So this is the gate of influence. It's a leadership gate. And so it helps people when invited. And I'm going to share regarding gate 7 and 31 together because they're connected inside the same channel. They're both in Leo. And this is the energy of getting a group of people from one location to another, or from a starting point to an ending point together as a team. And I've heard it said over the years that a good leader is one that honors the gifts and talents of their team. This channel is the channel of the alpha. So this person that has this channel would be viewed as the leader in the group. Even if they are not the actual leader, they will carry the energy of the alpha. So we know when there is a pack of wolves, there's an alpha male. And this would be this energy, regardless of if the individual is a man or a woman. So the 7 is the gate of the army or uniformity, getting a large group of people from point A to point B. And the 31 is the influential part of taking those people forward and actually getting it accomplished. Mara says, I don't have 31. My husband and little one have them in a defined center. So the throat center is defined, so they'll have a consistent way of influencing other people when they receive opportunities to lead. And again, this is a projected gate, meaning it leads by invitation. So Maris, your child coming into your home, he's inviting you to lead, or let's see, how does this work? You don't have the 31, right? He needs to wait to be invited to lead his siblings. I want to give a good real world example. So he wouldn't want to just step in, his brother is washing the dishes, and start telling his brother how to wash the dishes, right? However, your husband, being the father, can step in and guide and influence them in the way to wash dishes. Because them coming into your home, yes, your husband has the gate 31. Your children have invited him to be an influence in their life, if that makes sense, because he has it defined. The child has it defined, but it's an automatic invitation. When your child is born into your home, they're inviting you to lead and guide them already. It's a given, because they're your child and they've decided to come into your home, thus inviting you to be an influence in their life. So David, Raquel, Catherine, if you're open to sharing your activations, then we can take a look at how those 2 gates can potentially act in your life. And also the gate 7, it is connected to the self center. If someone has both of these gates defined, then the entire channel, and of course the throat center will be colored in, and the self center will be colored in. And so there will be a consistent way that this individual will lead and guide a group of people to get a goal met. Catherine says, I have gate 7, it's unconscious. Okay, so you'll have a natural way of leading when invited. And is your self center colored in? I mean, in human design terms, it's called defined, but I want to use words that you're going to understand. So it would be colored in yellow if it is defined, meaning you'll have a consistent way of being yourself. You'll know who you are, and a consistent way of leading people, a group of people, from point A to point B. Okay. Let's see. Catherine says her self-center is colored in white. So more flexible. You'll know yourself through other people that you're hanging out with. basically. So making sure that whoever you're spending time with, that you're comfortable with how you're behaving when you're with that individual or group of people. If you don't like how you're behaving when you're with an individual, and this is for the self-centered colored in white, if you don't like how you're behaving when you're with an individual or a group of people, consider that you may be in the wrong place. And I would say that you probably are, because you're not comfortable with how you're behaving. And you'll have a tendency to behave the way that those other individuals are behaving when you're with them. So you'll get to know yourself when you hang out with other people. David says 31 is colored in white for him, and the self center is defined, or it's colored in yellow. David says he's got 2 lines in gate 7 activated. Okay, so it's got 2 different lines activated, and the self center is colored in. So David, you'll have a consistent way of behaving as yourself. You know who you are in the world, and you'll have a dependable way of leading people in a group. Like there'll be a way that you like doing that, and people will, those who like your style of leadership will invite you to help them in that way. That could look like your children, or, a team at work, or whatever it is, or in a religious group of people. Okay. Raquel, you're welcome to hop out. If not, that's okay if you're here just learning with us. So I'm going to turn in the primer to gate 31 first. And let's look at how Barry has guided us with the I Ching. So gate 31, it has joyous lake above and mountain below. And his brief description is, this is a gate of natural influence without designs or schemes, forms sincere relationships. So there's sincerity there. So offering leadership from sincerity and without an agenda in mind. So basically going with the flow. If you can imagine, being in on a calm lake in a boat, and you're just going wherever your heart desires or leads you, and just going with the flow of the day. The name of the gate is Hsien, and it's spelled Hsien, Hsien. It's my understanding the way you say those is you kind of put a little bit of a on the end of the H sound and then say the S. So Hien is depicted as the wooing and mutual attraction of young lovers here on the pleasant mountain lake. Hien is a time when natural influences prevail in forming relationships without designs or schemes, characterized by success and contentment. The Chinese character used for Xian is translated as all or together, but is a modification of kan, K-A-N, or feeling. So kan means feeling. Xian means all or together, where the heart has been taken out and given without ulterior motive. So not pushing an agenda, saying, I have to have it this way. We've got to be in the purple boat. We have to go over to this side of the lake because it just has to be that way, instead of just going with the flow and seeing where the current leads you. So it shows a couple enjoying a beautiful day on the lake together. Looks like there's a slight little breeze, and just having a nice, enjoyable day. Kind of gives you a further feel from the I Ching. And then the gate 7, we'll move there because we've been talking about that. The gate 7 is actually earth above, and it is water or the abysmal water below. So slight danger. There's a little bit of danger involved. It has to do with army. The description that Barry offers is army strength stored in a mass of people, organization, and leadership. And the name of the gate is She, Shih. She is depicted as the army, which embraced the whole society. The younger strong men were employed as warriors, the women maintained the battlements, and children or the infirm managed supplies. The capable leader was able to organize and motivate all these forces to bear upon an enemy. So the men would go out actually in their it's Barry Trosper. Here, I'll show you. I'll show you. Barry Trosper. And, he's got the illustrators here. Listen, but the front of the book looks like this. So it has our sage here on the front. Our goal in the I Ching within all the hexagrams is to connect with the inner sage inside. So balance is created, and we're not acting from our ego, lower ego, but from our higher ego, which is the sage. And this man is depicting that or holding the energy. Okay, so in this energy, the men would go out. They'd have their swords, their shields, all of their coverings to protect themselves, and the women would be back at the edge and maintaining strength there on the edge of the battlefield, and the children and the elderly would be taking care of, mending the arrows, making sure the feathers are attached properly, making sure the bows are put together well, that if there's any notches in the swords or whatever, that they're taking care of that. So that's what this image is that he's offering for us. Okay. She is a time when organization and leadership are required to direct the efforts of a strong potential, particularly as a large group of people, characterized by capable and trustworthy leadership producing success or victory. So everyone in the village is honored for their abilities, and they're only asked to do what they have the ability to do and where their talents are for the support of their community. So it does show the army, and they're out there heading out to battle. But in day-to-day life, this represents, you're on a team, you're getting things done, and you're wanting to accomplish something together and honoring each of the members of the group. Okay, Raquel says, my gate 31 is white and the gate 7 is colored in. Okay, and is your self-center colored in as well? Does it have color in it, Raquel? So since your gate 31 is colored in white, you will have a flexible way of having influence in other people's lives. So this could be your own children, your nieces, nephews, co-workers, other family members. You'll have a flexible way of having an influence in their life. So it will be different every time. It won't be the same way every time. It will depend on who is standing in front of you in that moment or who you've been hanging out with the most. Gate 7, since it's colored in, you'll have a consistent way, like David, and you're saying your self-center is colored in as well. So it's defined. You have a consistent way of being yourself in the world, and you'll have a consistent way of leading other people in a group. And the big key here for the 731 channel is to wait to be invited to be an influence or to lead or guide people, because then they'll be more happy about it. If you try to beat them over the head and about the ears and the neck and whatever and say you have to do it my way, that is not going to work. In this case, definitely forcing never works. And so wait for people to ask you to lead and guide them, and then things will go much better. Okay. All right. Any other questions or anything? Let me get, I don't know if I have Karen's. Karen's book. Stephanie usually has been here with us. Let me see if I can find like the specific issues that might go with, because this can be a challenge, you know, people can end up getting upset or angry at someone if they try to step in. It says, um, making sure you're listening to the other people that you're serving and leading and guiding in leadership positions. There may be a tendency, if it's unbalanced, to push or try to take hold of leadership when it's not one's place to do so. The lesson or the challenge for Gate 31 is to learn to lead as a representative of the people you're guiding without an agenda. Contemplation questions. How do you feel about being a leader? Are you comfortable with it or uncomfortable? Um, do you shrink from taking leadership even though you're being invited, and it you may very well have the ability to do that? Put you out in the front, making you visible, right? Might be uncomfortable. And what is your particular flavor of service? Is this leadership opportunity even one that you would like to take? Um, Affirmations. I am a natural born leader. I serve at my highest potential when I am empowering others by giving them a voice and then serving their needs. I use my power to lead people to a greater expansion of who they are and to support them in increasing their abundance, stability, and sustainability and peace. Okay. Looks like I might have something on my glasses. Yep. I'm seeing this little piece of dust in front of me. All right. Okay. All right. Thank you, Maris. And then let me find gate 7 here. And so we can grab the energy of that a little bit more. Hopefully I've gone over it well, but sometimes I miss little things. So gate 7 is collaborating in a team and embracing the idea that power comes from supporting, influencing, and collaborating with leadership. Recognizing you don't have to be the figurehead to be influential and lead a group. I've been impressed when, let me see, where was this? Oh, like if we have a story of a gentleman, he's leading his army, they're out in the desert, there's very little water, he will give water to his army first. Like he will know the strength of the army comes from his men. So he will make sure that they're nurtured and sustained and honoring the people in the group first before himself. Let's see. Unbalanced expression could look like struggling and fighting to be seen and recognized. The lesson is to understand the need to be in front and allow yourself to serve through building teams, collaborating, and influencing the figurehead of the leadership. So being willing to be seen. Contemplation questions. What are your gifts and strengths? So if you have this defined, these are good questions to ask yourself. What are your gifts and strengths? How do you use those gifts and strengths to be an influence and to lead and guide other people? How do you feel about not being the figurehead or leadership, allowing someone else in a group to lead instead of you and stepping back and following someone else's leadership? What happens when you only support leadership, meaning encourage other members of the group to follow the leader, even though you might not be the leader, and you have a natural way of being able to lead, but you are allowing the other person to lead. I'm going to have to say, honestly, when there's a teacher and if there's other members of the group that that feels like they want to teach the class, but they're not the one that got the class together and they're not the teacher, that can feel unbalanced, not only for the teacher, the actual teacher in the group, but also the students that have showed up. So we all know how that feels. Affirmations that we can refer to for supporting this energy. I am an agent of peace who influences the direction and organization of leadership. I unify people around ideas. I influence with my wisdom, my knowledge, and my connections. I am a team builder, a collaborator, and I organize people in ways that empower them and support them in creating a collective direction rooted in compassion. Okay, awesome. All righty. Okay, so anybody have any ahas while we were talking about that, or any ideas or anything you want to share before we move to the next gate? Okay, let's pause for a moment. All righty, let's move to our next gate. So between the 7 and the 31, we have gate 33. So this is the gate of retreat. The gate of retreat is located here at the bottom right-hand corner of the throat center. So it has to do with expression as well, but expression after taking time to rejuvenate, retreat, and distill anything that you have learned throughout the day, any energies that you've come across, being able to process them in your own space so your body can rest and rejuvenate and rebuild itself, and then come out into your home or your community and share your experiences after you've internalized what you've experienced that day. Um, if you have 1333 channel, you could be an individual that has picked up on a lot of energies throughout the day. Stories people may have told you, and things you've learned throughout the day that maybe you just need to be in your space for a minute before you go and talk to your family. This, if you have this channel or the gate 13, the gate 33, it may be good for you to have your own space or your own, like your own room, meditation room or cave. Um, you've heard of the term man cave if you're a gentleman, but it could be a she cave as well, where you could put a sign on the door that says, I'll be out in an hour. I just need to be by myself for a minute and then I'll come out and visit with you and or pay attention to everyone. But the whole invitation here, and it is a projected gate, it is an invitation, the invitation to take time by yourself so you can rest and restore and integrate what's happened for you throughout the day and release, you know, ideas or stories people told you that are not yours, or energies you picked up on the day and throughout the day, and process them out. Let's see, before talking to anyone else, because then your engagement with your family members or your community will go much better. So say, for example, if you are a teacher, if you're teaching a class, plan to leave the hour before starting the class open and take that time to connect inside yourself, like she's doing here, and get clear on how you're feeling inside. Lay down and rest, take a nap, get yourself focused. Take plenty of time to do that before moving to connect with other people and start sharing. That will help you be able to do that much more easily. Okay. All right. So Mara says that she has the 33 line 6 defined on the throat center. And remind me, Maris, you said you have, did you say you have the throat center defined? Oh, yes, you do, because you have the 1-8 channel. I remember you mentioning that. So you will have a consistent way that you need to go into retreat time. So maybe that's, you know, right as soon as you get home from going out and about grocery shopping and stuff, and you just need to pause and be in your own space. Or it could be first thing in the morning when you get up, you go into your retreats space or sit in your meditation chair and you're just by yourself. So then your children are like, oh, we're gonna leave mom alone right now so she can be in her space. And because she feels a lot better and she's not so cranky when we leave her alone, and let her sit in her chair and get centered again. Does that make sense? Um, David says he has the 33 on a defined center. Oh, and Maris, I see that you commented you don't have the 13. So you'll have an open way of listening to other people sharing what they have going on in their life. It will not be a consistent way. And so you might have lots of people approaching you from lots of different and varying situations, telling you their stories, but you can graciously bow out of that. And you might have different ways of letting people know that you are busy or you have other things to be doing and moving forward into your day. Um, let's see, the sixth line in gate 33. Um, this is a healthy invitation. So from the balance direction of it, the gate 6 has the potential of the energy of separation and not being available. So informing your family that you need to take a few minutes by yourself so they won't feel like you're separating uh, um, yourself from them or you're ignoring them in a negative way. Just let them know what you're doing so that they have confidence and go, oh, mom just needs to nurture herself for a minute and sit down by herself, and she'll be with me in a minute. She's not ignoring me. She's just taking care of herself first, and then she'll come and help me. Okay. And you can have like a little sign, like you could put a little sign up that says, I'll be with you in 30 minutes. I'm taking a break, right? Okay. And then your children will have greater trust in you, that you're not ignoring them and that you are taking care of them because you're letting them know what's happening. Okay, David has a defined throat center, 33, line 5. So you'll have a consistent way of teaching and leading once you go into your man cave, basically. Like take time by yourself, get centered inside of yourself, and what you're wanting to teach and lead other people regarding, and you'll do that in a consistent way. So you can set up that, like determine what that way is for you and keep coming back to that. And then people will get used to you doing that, and you'll be able to express and lead and guide other people much more easily after you take retreat time for yourself, David. Okay, and Catherine, you have 33 split conscious and unconscious throat center. Uh, hmm, I'm not fully understanding your expression. So let me see. You have the throat center is colored in white, and you have the 33 conscious and unconscious. Okay. So it's colored in red and black. That's what I'm getting from you. So you have conscious awareness of it as well as a natural way. So you'll have mental awareness, like noticing that you have a specific way of spending retreat time, but then also mixed in with that, you'll have a natural way that you want to spend retreat time. And it will be inconsistent, okay? You'll express that in an inconsistent way because your throat center is colored in white, depending on who's in your environment or who you've been conditioned by for taking retreat time to yourself. But your actual expression of taking retreat time, integrating, so maybe when you go into your own particular space, let's use the example of the she cave, you'll have a specific way of doing that. Like first you'll sit in your chair, then you'll pick up a book that inspires you, then you'll sit in meditation time, contemplating what you just read. Like you'll have a specific way of spending cave time for yourself. Okay. And cave time is not selfishness. It has to do with you. It's actually a requirement for the gate 33 so your body itself can rest and rejuvenate itself. So you're ready to go out and interact with family members or your community after you spend cave time. Okay, Mary says, haha, yes, I understand. That's true. Okay, let me refer back up. Do you remember what you were? Oh, the 33. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, the 33 line 6. Just letting your children know what you're up to so that they don't feel like you're ignoring them. Raquel says, Gate 33 is colored in white. Okay, so you'll have a flexible way of spending cave time. So maybe one day you want to sit in the jacuzzi. Another day you want to spend time in the library. Another time you want to sit in the backyard on the bench and enjoy nature. So your cave time could look different all the time if it's colored in white. Mary says, thank you so much. This helps a lot. Yes, you're welcome. Yeah, knowing these little things is just so helpful in your interactions to help bring trust in your relationships. And then everybody just can relax because, we understand what's going on. And if we don't understand, we know it's not personal. Just flat out is not. Raquel says her 13 is colored in. So it's activated in your chart. So you'll have a consistent way of listening to people. Maybe even people might walk up to you in the grocery store. You've never seen them before, but they're telling you about this major divorce situation they're going through, or something their grandma told them yesterday, or whatever. And you're like, oh my goodness, why is this person telling me this? They might even tell you intimate things that they have going on, and you don't even know who they are. So that can happen with the gate 13 when it's colored in. And having gracious ways that you can respond to people like, hey, I don't have time to stand here and listen. I can see you're having a trouble, but I need to be on my way. Or, oh, look at the time. Yeah, it's time for me to go take a shower, or I need to go to the bathroom, or it's time for me to take my walk. Whatever it is, you don't need to stand there and listen to everybody that wants to dump their stories on you. So, okay, very good. Probably have found yourself in some silly situations with that. Um, Raquel says 33 is what time? I don't understand the word. Retreat time. So retreat. So it's the gate of retreat. So taking space for your space and time away from other people for your own self to nurture yourself. Yes, yes. Retreat. So cave time, self-nurturing time, time to take care of yourself and your body and rest and relax so that your body can heal and mend itself. That can look like a nap as well, like getting good sleep. David says, cave time, like a bear hibernating. Yes, exactly. So, David, I'm curious, you being a gentleman, in your man cave space, you probably have some place like that because you have gate 33. Is it like warm feelings? Is it like, a place that you can relax and do your own thing? It could, if you don't mind it being cluttery or messy, or if you want everything super excited, or if you want earthy tones, or whatever that is. So making your cave, your man cave or your she cave, the way that you like it to be, because that will help your body feel comfortable and relaxed when you're in there. That's the whole key. Okay. All right. I'm going to turn. If any of you have any other comments, do put them in there. I'm going to turn to the page in the primer. So this is heaven above and mountain below. So just a nice relaxing energy. And his short description says, strength yields and withdraws as appropriate to the circumstances. The name of this gate in the I Ching is Tune, which is Tun. I like that because you're singing your own tune. Isn't that interesting? Hey, Maria, you're back with us. Catherine says, I love sitting in my armchair, read and meditate, or outside. Very good. And David says, Cave can be as small as a comfortable recliner. Seriously, yep, for true. Okay, so Tune is depicted as a sage withdrawn. Oh, and Maria, we're talking about gate 33. If you want, if you're in the space to share your activations, what your activation looks like for gate 33. Tune is depicted as a sage withdrawn from the lesser influences and improving inner character for future service. So lesser influences could be literally children or pets as well. Like if your pets are bothering you, shut your door and have them go in the other room or outside and let your children know you'll be back in a minute. Tune is a time of yielding to lesser forces and withdrawing, or retreating into secure and possibly isolated positions, characterized by progress and advantage in small matters. The withdrawal is neither from fear nor hatred of the lesser elements, but rather a recognition of their inevitable existence. I keep I keep getting images of children applying to this, so kind of sounds a little bit funny, a little bit sense of humor. Lesser principles are now on the rise, and forceful action is not effective. Okay, hang on, I gotta mute. Ooh, wow, that made my eyes water. Okay, all righty. Okay, I'm going to show you the picture. It's a nice picture. Here we got this gentleman. He's out in nature. He's taking time and space away from everybody. He's not even in the house. He's outside. He can see the house in the distance. And he's out there by himself, enjoying the space. Looks like he might even have some snacks or whatever. Who knows? Little picnic there by himself. Cool. Yeah, he's got his tea. And interesting, he's got a little bird in a bird cage with him. So he's enjoying nature. He's taking his little bird friend out there with him. So Raquel says, I love taking naps after lunch. Yep. So um, let's see. You will have, Raquel, I'm looking up in the notes to see if you said you had gate 33. Oh, it's colored in white. So you'll have lots of different ways that you like to retreat. David says, my retreat is also the beach where water and earth energies meet and interact. Very lovely. Okay, beautiful. Yeah, notice yourself engaging with these energies. It helps you get to know yourself at a deeper level and understand how these energies play out in your environment. And when you have family members that have certain activations, so you can have a greater understanding, or potentially, I mean, we can't 100% understand a person because we're not in their body, we're not walking in their shoes, we haven't had their experiences, but it can help us get somewhat of a picture of energy that they might be working with in their lifetime. Okay, and for Karen, in her book, Gate 33. So she's named this in the quantum human design, the gate of retelling. It can be associated with thyroid and parathyroid. And the optimal expression is the ability to translate a personal experience into an empowering narrative that teaches and gives direction to others. So after your retreat time, after you've integrated what you've been learning, you're centered and balanced in yourself. If you feel like you want to share what you've been learning with other people and they've invited you to do so, or they're in an open space of doing so, then asking them, you can even ask them, I'm wondering if you'd like to hear about what I learned today. Really, it's flat out that. Just ask them first, and then if they say yeah, then you can sit down and interact with each other instead of just coming out and going, oh, I learned blah, 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 blah today. This is what I read in my book just now. You could ask them, would you like to hear what I just read about in this book, or what I just watched on this YouTube video? Or are you open to me sharing the link to this video with you that I just watched. It's a projected channel, and so, or a projected gate. So asking an open-ended question, I'm wondering if you'd like to hear this information. If it's not balanced, it might look like staying stuck in sharing a personal narrative that's rooted in pain, disempowerment, and victimhood instead of uplifting things that have happened. The lesson or the challenge is to learn to share a personal narrative that reflects your true value and your personal worth. Contemplation questions you could ask yourself. What personal narratives are you telling that might be keeping you stuck or feeling like a victim or feeling unlovable or unloved? And how can you rewrite these stories? How can you reframe that story to bring out the treasure and the learning from it so you can raise it to a higher frequency and get moving forward from there? Some affirmations that it can help you connect with this energy. I am a processor of stories. So after you hear a story or you tell a story, how is that making you feel? And how can you integrate the lessons from that story in your life? My gift is my ability to help others find the blessings, the love, and the power from stories of pain. I hold people's secrets and stories and transform them to share when the time is right. So waiting until the right timing to share stories. Catherine says, how can you tell if it is projected? Okay, let me share. I'm going to get a quick sip of water here. So there's channels, each have their own little energy, kind of like the 5 types. So there's a manifestor type, the projector type, there's the generator type, and the reflector type, right? So if we were looking at this as a chart, this would be a reflector chart. It's not a realistic chart, but all the centers are colored in white. So they're open, completely open everywhere in all the circuitry, all of the centers. If it's a projected energy, so all 3 of these channels are projected channels, and they work according to invitation. It's coming from the self center, and this one right here, the 1020 channel. These are all projected channels, meaning they're from invitation. So you want to have invitation because they're not connected to a motor. The heart center is a motor. The emotion center is a motor. The root center is a motor. And the sacral center is a motor. These are not connected to a motor. And so they are projected. This is also projected channel. This is a potentially, like, they're by invitation. If they're standing by themselves, if they were connected to the sacral center, then it would act as like this is be generated. These are generated channels, generator channels. This one here, if it's from the 34 to the 10, it would be generated. If it's from the 34 to the 57, it's the generated because it's coming from the sacral. If it's the 34-20, then it's generated and would be manifesting generated. But if it's the 10 to the 20, then it's projected. It's, sharing how you feel about who you are right in the moment. You don't want to just walk up to anyone in the store and say, hey, I feel like this right now, and I love doing blah, 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 whatever it is that, that you do. If it was me and I did that, somebody look at me, like if I walked up to somebody in the store and said, hey, I really love wearing purple and giving card readings. Oh my goodness. That person didn't invite me to say that to them. They might look at me like, oh my gosh, who are you? And maybe start running in the other direction, right? So waiting for people to offer an invitation for you to share. Or like I was just saying, Are you okay if I share this information with you? This right here, because it's coming from this channel, 2145, is a manifesting channel because it's coming from a motor going directly to the throat. It's manifesting energy. This right here, oh my goodness, I wish Stephanie was here. For some reason in the back of my mind, and I don't know if there's, David, maybe you know, if this is, I think this is a projector channel, because if this were the only two gates that were activated in a projector's chart, this is a projected channel. This would be an ego projector. Okay. If this was the only two centers and their only defined channel, this would be a projector as well, an ego projector. But if these channels come here and go straight up, these are manifesting channels. These are projector channels. This is a projector channel because it's not connected to the throat. Projector channel, not connected to the throat. Projected. I mean, not connected to a motor to the throat. Not a motor to the throat. Projected. I'm hoping I'm not mixing anyone up. You kind of have to understand circuitry and the way that things are connected in there, and it can get confusing, especially when you're just starting out new. I wouldn't even worry about that stuff. Maria says, we're so different here. I guess because we would say, okay, and maybe a conversation would occur. Yes. Yeah. Just ask somebody if they're okay chatting about whatever it is, and then let them respond.
No, oops, hold on. Sorry. What I mean is that, we're so like, it's talking about anything new agey or whatever is so commonplace here that you'd actually probably make a new friend. It's very different here. Like, this is when you were talking, because you're in America, where I'm in Vancouver, and gosh, we've been looking at crystals and stuff like that since the 90s.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just interesting, the vibe that I got when you were saying people might kind of look at you funny, but it's like that in the States. People are just like a pimple waiting to pop.
Yeah, just too touchy-feely. Yeah. Emotions on their sleeves all the time. And it's like two children in the back seat. Don't touch me, Mom. She touched me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Stay in your own seatbelt. Keep your hands and feet and your arms and legs in the ride at all times.
Exactly. Maris is laughing on virtually.
Yeah.
I have to ask you a question. Okay. I'm making chicken soup, and I went to put some of my wet Celtic salt in it and put too much. So is there any way I can correct it?
Maybe a little bit more oil in there. A little bit. Yeah.
I'm boiling it some more. I put more water, and I put like carrots. I haven't put the veggies in it. So I'm just I thought, oh my, well, I just I don't have a lot of experience with Celtic salt other than putting it under my tongue. And I just, I thought, oh, let me just shake a little bit of this. And it went bloop. And I'm like, because it's really strong, right? And I'm like, oh my God. Anyway, I mean, chicken soup's supposed to be really salty, but anyhow, I'm hoping
that's okay. I think that something sour would help balance out.
Oh yeah. Well, we'll be doing that because this is going to be Greek chicken soup, which is avrolemono, which I don't know if you've ever had, but they make it with lemon and egg.
Yeah, you could put a little bit of lemon in there. It might balance it out with a little bit more fat, oil, whatever oil you're using.
Okay, off topic. Lemon. That's what she said. I'll let you go. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, lemon. Okay. All righty. Very good. Do you have any questions or other ahas for the gate 33? Or any questions, including soup? Okay. All right.
Ah, that's funny. She loves me. I love you too. I have a question.
Okay.
Have you any plans to go to Austin to meet up with the Serious Joy people and the Human Garage people in May?
I'm leaving that open.
Oh, good. I'm leaving it open too.
Yeah, I'm leaving it open. Quite often, the universe will steer me into those directions and everything will just fall into place. So I'm
Well,
open to doing that.
allow me to say this. If it happens that we end up there together, I would love to treat you to lunch or dinner.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Maria. Yeah, I'd even be open to rooming with someone to defray
Mm,
cost.
we
So
could do that too. That would be great, actually.
yeah,
That's even cooler.
yeah.
Sure. Well, we'll keep that in the burner because I'd really like to manifest that. And I understand on a couple days ago, Chris was talking to Gary, and he was saying that has an event on the 12th, and Gary said his event is on the 18th. So there'll be two opportunities to see Chris.
Oh, okay.
And they were saying, okay, I'll support yours if you support mine. So sounds really fun. I don't know how it's all going to pan out because I don't think I've ever actually spent any time in Texas. But anyway, yeah, it's very exciting. And
Yeah.
I love May is my favorite month of the whole year.
So they're both having physical. So Human Garage is a physical gathering in the same space on the 12th, and then on the 18th.
Human Garage, Human Garage is doing an event with I don't know who on the 12th, on the 18th, sorry. And then Serious Joy is having their event on the 12th. So
Oh, I think
details
it
are
was the I
opposite.
yeah, I think it's opposite. I think Christopher's planning on his on the 18th.
Okay. Well, Christopher said when is his birthday? The 9th?
I don't know.
His birthday's anyhow, it's just before that.
Okay.
You've met him, right?
I have not met Christopher in person, no.
I wonder if he's tall or short or what.
Oh, thank you, Catherine. Have a lovely meal, and we will see you another day. Thank you.
I wonder what she's having for to eat.
Okay. All
Okay.
right. So let's go ahead and move. I think we have one more gate to visit about. Let's see. It is, oh, we have two. Oh my goodness. We can do that. It leaves us a few minutes for both of them. Okay, so let's look at the gate 4. This is the gate of mental solutions. It's up here at the upper right-hand corner of the mind center. So gate 4, this is like youthful learning, learning from a teacher. Mental solutions, just know if you have gate 4, mental solutions are temporary. So if you have a solution in the moment, it's just like a band-aid potentially, that it will need to have another solution brought forward at a later time. So understanding your learning, it's a youthful, because it's youthful learning, it's beginning learnings like elementary school. If you can imagine smaller children in elementary school, learning from a sage or a teacher. And up here, you can see it's in the 463 channel. So learning sometimes can bring doubts, questioning oneself, or temptation to feel have low self-esteem if you're not quote unquote doing things correctly as a child when you're learning something new. But realizing, this is a process of growth. And when you're learning new things, then apparent mistakes, and I say apparent mistakes because they can't be viewed as mistakes or failures, is just an indication that you're learning something new, and try again. And no need to doubt yourself. No need to get down on yourself. That's not what this is for. Just keep learning and refining and determining what will work better next time. If anything, in fact, did go wrong, it may not have. Or if there's something new that you need to learn to help things go better next time. Okay, so sharing your gate 4 activations. Raquel says her gate 4 is colored in white. Okay, so you'll have an inconsistent way of learning things, learning new things, starting out learning new things, or learning from different teachers. Mara says her gate 4 is in white, and her husband and oldest son have both the gate 4 defined, and that's the mind center colored in white. So Maris, is your mind center colored in? David has gate 4 colored in white on an undefined white mind center. Okay, open mind, very open-minded to learning new things and learning new things in different ways, David. And Maris, the same. It's like you're open to learning things in a new way. Um, and you're okay with learning new things and being open-minded about what you're learning, open to hearing other people, um, what they're learning about. Raquel says the Ajna Center is colored in. Okay, so open gate 4, so it's colored in white. So you have an open, variable, and flexible way of learning new things. But once you learn it, you may end up with a fixed way of thinking about what you've just learned or putting it in your mental filing cabinet, so to speak. So you might want to engage with that same material in the same consistent way every time that you work with it. Okay. So, Maris, your no means undefined. Oh, it's hard to keep track of undefined mind. Okay, that's what I was thinking. It's too many thoughts going on. Oh gosh. Okay. Uh, so Marish, you'll have an open way of learning new things. You'll be open to learning new things. You'll have a way of having childlike curiosity about new things and being open to learning from other people what they have on their mind as well. Raquel says, my mom has gate 4 on red and black in a defined center. Okay, so she has a natural way of learning new things as well as her, a fixed conscious way, like she's aware of how she learns new things, but then she also has a fixed way of processing that information once she's learned it. And I don't know, I guess she could struggle learning new things as well, or she might have a voracious appetite for learning new things. But then once she learns it, having a fixed way of viewing that information. When the mind center is colored in, it's activated, there is a potential of getting stuck in the way that you think. So, you can kick yourself out of that by listening, making yourself listen to other people, be open to listening to new ideas and allowing other people to air their thoughts as well and listen to other people. And this isn't about whether somebody's right or wrong, correct or incorrect. The mind center is just putting out potentials of ways to process what we're learning or what we have on our mind. It's not that it's an absolute. So it isn't going to absolutely happen this way or be super certain about what's happening. These are potentials that you have in your filing cabinet in your mind, or the encyclopedia in your mind, or the dictionary in your mind. Raquel says she has difficulties in learning new things. Yeah, you get very stuck in your ways of thinking when there's a defined mind. And since this gate 4 is defined on both unconscious and conscious for her, she could have a difficulty learning new things because she'll want to learn it a consistent way all the time. So it's possible that her teachers, when she was in kindergarten, first grade, second grade, and stuff, that she may have struggled to learn new things at school, and her teachers may have struggled to teach her, like, how do I get this cute little girl to sit still and not argue with me about how to, draw peas on the paper or some, whatever it was that she thought needed to be done in a particular way. Okay. All right. So gate 4, this one is stillness above. So uncannily mental stillness. Okay. And abysmal water below. So a lot of turmoil below and stillness above. That's very fascinating. So, having a lot of questions, wanting to ask a lot of questions, get down to the point of the thing, and maybe not fully processing it or being able to understand it right then. But as you age and mature over time, you'll have greater understanding. Raquel says she has difficulties in learning new things, but as a child, she was a good student. Oh, okay, awesome. Mary said, wow, it's like you talk about my little boy, Shelley, with a defined mind center. Yeah, that's one of the fun things about human design. When you start looking at these things, you start having a sensation of, oh my gosh, they're talking about me. How did they know who I am? Like, oh my gosh, almost feeling like vulnerable or naked or seen, you know. Or if somebody is a projector or has a lot of projected channels, they might be struggling to be seen and heard. And when they are, it might make them jump or like maybe even have a cathartic release of, oh my gosh, I feel finally that I'm truly seen. But when I look at my human design chart. So, so gate 4, this is the gate of youthful folly and innocence. And I'm going to read exactly what Barry Trosper has here. He says, youthful folly and innocence are excused when learning and developing. So there's an inherent understanding. These are children. We're going to give them space to learn and to play and drop things on the floor or bump up against things and ask a bunch of questions. And also understanding that no question is a bad question. I would imagine that somebody could come up with a bad question somewhere, but most of the time, inquiries or questions are good questions to have answered. And when a child is learning or when we are learning something new, all questions are good to be asked. If you have a space there where you're like, oh, I don't know the answer to this, and I better ask so I can get clarity. There's a little bit of a running joke in my family that my daughter in particular, and my husband occasionally, they become annoyed because I am just full of questions. And when we're talking to, say, a salesperson or somebody's trying to sell us insurance or purchasing a new home or whatever it is, I am one long stream of questions until everyone is like, oh my gosh, where did all those questions come from? Oh, and can you be quiet now? When in fact, they're important questions that need to be asked before purchasing a home or getting in a business situation or buying a class or whatever. If class, for example, I can get stuck if I'm on a page where someone is selling a class, say an e-course, okay, and they haven't answered all my questions on that page, I won't even buy it. And if I can't get a hold of them from an email to ask them the question, to get an answer back regarding that question, I won't buy the class because I don't have all my questions answered. If they haven't answered those questions on that page, and I don't know what's included in the class, how long it takes, what time to show up, what day, what energy commitment I'm making to buying this class and how much it costs, all those little pages you land on and they want you to click to register and they don't tell you how much it is. There's times I don't even click to register. I just click off the page. I need to know everything that's going on, every silly thing, so that I understand right now, right out of the chute, what I'm committing my energy to, because I don't have loads of energy as a manifester to commit to someone else's, this sounds terrible, fun and games, fun and games on sales pages. Like just, I need it laid out. Oh my gosh, those registration pages just like that don't have that stuff laid out, I will click off the page. They lost the sale. So there we go. Now you know. The mind of Shelley. Anyway, there we go. I know other people have the same thing. I'll just click off of it. I don't have time to play with it. So, Maria, did you
I'm
have
the same. I am the same. I ask every question like it's like a colonoscopy, okay? I ask every question.
Yes.
And yesterday I took my daughter to hang on a second. I took my daughter to a university convention, meet the school, whatever, come and see many different schools were having like a convention, literally at the convention center down where the cruise ships were. Anyway, and so I wasn't going to stop at this table because I don't even do medicine. My daughter wants to be a pediatrician. And we started talking and the girl, anyhow. And so, And then we go to leave, and my daughter's like, "Oh my God, I have my period. I'm sure I'm leaking." I go, "Why don't you excuse yourself to go to the bathroom?" Anyway, she's like, "Why do you have to ask so many questions?" I said to her, "Why do you always have to be so irritated when I have so much fun with these people?" Because, like I'm very engaging and I just get so animated. It charges the crap out of me. I mean, I felt like I went to a party because I've been home all the time. Like get me out amongst people. I can't contain myself from the fact that I'm actually feeling human and engaging with other human beings.
Yeah.
So anyway, but I ask everything, and it's funny, she's learned not to get irritated because as the questions go, she's like, "Oh, that's a good one. Oh, because I go straight up and let's talk money. How much? Like I just, I don't, but yeah, I ask all the questions, and I'm not, like I need to know. I don't know, maybe it's my Scorpio something or other, but I need to know, and maybe it's the Virgo. I'm just so thorough. Gosh, in college, the teacher used to refer to me. No joke. Maria, where was I? Because I used to take like almost verbatim notes. So, I guess, like I guess it just depends on the situation in respect to who you're resonating with. Do you know what I mean? Whether or not they feel it's a bonus or not. But I'm sure, like, like my family gets really like, okay, like my husband or soon to be husband will say, "Okay, kids, we can go we're going to leave you here. Come and meet us up in the rest, find us at the other end of the store." But like, I mean, I get all the information. I'm the one who's like, "Oh no, you can't do that. You can't, blah, blah, blah," so, and that's the product and I got it and whatever. So
Yep.
I feel you is all I'm saying.
Yeah.
I find it very entertaining. I go shopping with you and I just sit back and be like, "Oh, good. I can relax and just take in the information without asking."
Yeah, yeah. Mary says, first thing, what I need to know is what will it cost? Oh, for sure. I mean,
Right?
it's just ridiculous. You're selling a class or a digital product or whatever it is. Could be a fridge. Please tell me what the price is so I even know if I want to look at it or not.
That's right.
I've been at events where there's $20,000 or $30,000 packages being sold at the back of the room. And after the room starts clearing out, we have people crying because they have spent the money. So serious.
Meaning what? Like they didn't realize that they were investing that much?
That the presenter got them all whipped up into buying, and you got to buy, and it's going to be like this, and it's so amazing, wonderful. And here, people went and spent 10, 20, $30,000 at the back of the room for this thing, and then they're crying.
Can they not reverse the charge?
You know what? A lot of these events, they won't let them. They tell them there is no refund when you spend this money. And that's when we get, yes, I will not go to those anymore. Oh my goodness.
I've never been to an event like that. I can't imagine.
Yeah, no. I've been to some of them and you're like, wow, good gracious. So anyway, if you don't have the money, don't spend it. Okay, so gate 4, and this, goes in line with this youthful folly thing. Somebody just being inexperienced could fall into something like that. Yes, these are events where there's like millionaires attending these kind of things, and they don't have any qualms about spending it. So if there's someone that ends up at these events that have a lower income, and somebody convinces them to spend that much of money, and yeah, it can be painful. So, anyway, be careful out there. In the I Ching, the gate here is called Meng, Meng. Meng is depicted as youthful students learning and developing under the tutelage of a wise master. Meng is a time associated with the awkwardness of youth and innocence in the immature form, characterized by seeking knowledge and wisdom to produce success. Beginner's luck is suggested, as all turns out well in spite of one's inexperience. The warning of this hexagram is that the patience of the masters can be quickly exhausted when one is insincere. So making sure questions and inquiry is sincerely broached or asked, right? Okay, and not just messing around. You can get in a classroom with a bunch of boys in particular will do this, and they'll just start asking goofy questions, right? And just create chaos in the room. So I would say that is a bad question. And they're just poking and prodding. just to be poking him.
So can I ask you, I'm looking at my gate 4. That's this triangle on the head, right?
Yes. Yes.
So mine is purple solid, which means what?
That means you have conscious awareness of what you like to learn.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah.
I like to learn a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's obvious the way that you work with it, you know.
Oh God. I can't sometimes I exhaust myself. I'm not even joking. My thought processes are so fast. It's
Yeah.
like it's exhausting.
Mental exhaustion is a potential, which is why he's saying here the master or the teacher can be quickly exhausted. So your inner sage, not just this has to do with inner spiritual stuff as well.
Yeah.
So that's the thing with the I Ching. It all applies to bringing balance within oneself. And your inner sage is your higher self or your higher self awareness.
I'm just popping my chart into the chat because I've been cooking and I haven't been able to follow along, but I was
Yeah.
hoping that maybe, yeah.
Yeah. So being aware, it can be your actual physical teacher that gets tired by too many questions, like what we've been talking about, but also your inner higher awareness could become exhausted by too much learning or over much learning new things. So that can be applied there. Some contemplation questions for this. What ideas do I have right now that need me to nurture and activate them? So what are you learning that needs to be looked at more closely or patiently? What possibilities do these ideas stimulate right now? Like what do you have coming to your mind and what can you journal about?
Mm.
Some affirmations. I am tuned into the cosmic flow of possibility. I am inspired to explore new possibilities and potentials. I use the power of my thoughts to stretch the limits of what is known and engage my imagination to explore the potential of the unknown.
Hmm.
Okay. All right. And unbalanced in that gate 4 is just doubting oneself and what you're learning. So David says fits well with the 33 need for retreat time. Definitely. You know, little children, if they're spending too much classroom time, it just, you know, the ability to learn goes down. But if they can go out and run around and play, and adults too, then will be able to
Yeah.
learn easily. Yeah. So over long hours of studying is not supportive. Like for example, in the homeschooling that we had, we do a couple of hours of like the math and phonics and reading and stuff, actual application of where we're spelling and learning, tearing words apart and all that kind of stuff that we did. That would be 2 hours
Mm-hmm.
tops. And then I would read to them and then we would go out and play. And then I
Mm.
would scatter books around that I felt impressed to leave for them to look at, and I would just put them on the living room floor or on the couch or whatever, and they would pick them up because they're laying there. It's very easy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So part of it was me following my intuitive guidance for providing for my children and what they needed, and then by the time that learning style suited both of them well, because they were second line profiles. And then also my son being a reflector and he just loved research. So he still does that naturally. They were both able to go and get their GEDs and test. My daughter, college level, she ended up college level science and they both passed. And my son got his highest score was in social, which he's a 2-4 profile, which makes total sense. So our children have natural ways of learning, and when we work with those natural ways and with our own natural way of learning, then it can bring benefit not only for ourselves in our own lives, but people we associate with and out in our communities as we mature and grow.
Hey, Shelley, you want to hear what's really fascinating?
Hmm.
Conversely, when I homeschooled my first daughter, um, I would let her engage in painting her letters for
Mhm.
as long as she wanted, and she'd go for
Uh-huh.
like a couple of hours.
Yeah, yeah.
And and maybe that's where perhaps I also failed her because like I wasn't disciplined enough, like, when she was done to go to actually say, okay, this is the break or whatever. But the funny thing is I asked her about it and I said, do you remember me homeschooling you? And I couldn't believe what she remembered because I did not remember this. She goes, I remember you chasing me for us to start. God, because I had my friend, right? Because I work in a school with special needs kids, and my, well-intentioned teacher friend, she gave me the books. She goes, "I'll give you the books." She goes, "This is what you do." And I worked in a kindergarten class for a whole year. She goes, 10, 15 minutes, calendar time, whatever, whatever, whatever. And anyway, it's a bittersweet memory because I got sick and I couldn't continue it because I realized what my barriers were with her, and I didn't really know at the time, but she had sleep apnea. She needed surgery, and so she wasn't like, she didn't have buffer. She didn't have, she didn't have the patience and stuff because she wasn't getting her sleep. But I realized where my limits were as an educator, a special needs specialized educator, as opposed to a quote teacher. And I thought, and I said to her, I said, as soon as you learn how to read, you can come home, right? I said, and you can, kind of be a bit more self-directed. And I wanted to be able to take, every subject for grade 4 and go, what do you want to learn? And then make it, because I'm so freaking creative. Well, what would you like to do about that, darling? Would you like to paint a picture about that? Do a drama, do a story, do a play? I never got to do any of that. But anyhow, mine, hindsight is 2020, and maybe in another lifetime, I don't know. But what I wouldn't do to be able to do that. You know what I mean? To go back.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to be the one to see the aha moments when they learned. Like that, like I used to think, oh my God, these parents have to work. They're missing all these precious moments with their kids. Right?
I do. Yeah, we home taught for a total of 23 years.
So
yeah. The other day I was driving in the car, and this is oh my goodness. I saw a young woman walking on the street, on the sidewalk. She was crossing the road. And I was talking to my husband on the phone while I was driving. I was waiting for the light to turn. And she looked so much like my daughter. I just had a meltdown. Like I just started sobbing right there. I miss my child in my presence, because when you do 23 years of homeschooling 24/7, that impacts you. And I just started sobbing. I was like, oh my gosh, I so miss my beautiful daughter in my presence every day for hugs and kisses. It was just, part of me was like, I was tempted to apologize. And then I realized, no, I'm reframing that. I do not need to apologize for the extreme heartfelt love I have for my child, and that I miss her because she is in Southern Utah. She's doing her thing. I feel so grateful. I knew she would do good, and she is doing good. She's learning and growing, and that's the space she needs to be in. But I miss my child. I miss daily hugs.
Honey, my kid is 16, and I'll break out into tears.
Yeah.
And I'll say to her, "Oh my God, Glennie, you were such a cute little kid. Oh my God." Like I look at her and I still see her as when she's small. She's like, "Oh my God, Mom, are you going to cry again?" I'm like, "I'm sorry. I just love you so much."
Yep.
Like she no words. I told her, I said, "Do you realize that I had a head injury in 2009 in May, and then I ended up being off work for a whole year, and I took you everywhere. Every day we did something." She's like, "Really?" I go, "Yeah. Every day we would go like to music class, and then we go to gymnastics, then we go to this, and we go to that."
Yep.
I mean,
she got every moment.
Shelly has no clue how lucky she is. Everything, because I have such a musical background, everything had a song. Okay. Do you know the song for when it was time to go to sleep? It was this: "Glennie, it's time to go to bed. Okay, Mommy. Good night, Glennie. Good night, Glennie. Good night, Glennie. It's time for you to go to bed." Everything was joyful. She has no clue.
Darling. How darling.
Like everything was joyful. And when we used to walk to go to the community center, it was raining, and I'd hold her hand. I'd be like, walking with Glennie, walking, faster, walking, it is raining. Everything was a song. Everything was a song.
How fun. So fun, Maria.
I know. I should have another one. Hey, Shelly, I actually, do you know, last year in February, I was at a restaurant, and there was a girl there with a more baby. And I was like, oh, whatever. I started talking to her, long story, short story. And I'm like, oh, because I said, how old are you? And she goes, 47. I got up. I said, I'm sorry. I went over. I said, I'm sorry to the parents. I'm so sorry. Anyway. And she told me know what she told me? She said, Maria, she goes, oh, it's not my baby, but there are Facebook groups of parents that have paid to have in vitro frozen babies that are going to die, and they're giving them away for free.
Okay. So
Anyway,
she didn't physically have the child.
no, she physically had the child, but she took
Oh,
a frozen embryo from a couple, because when you do the embryos, you do a lot, and they're
oh,
sitting there waiting. They did the 2 kids. They had 5 left over. They gave her 3.
oh my goodness gracious.
Anyway, I mean, it opened up my world, let me tell you.
Yeah,
And I've
yeah.
told my daughter's like, you're going to have another baby? I said to her, I don't know. I said to her, but I have 2 daughters and I always wanted a boy. And she's like, Mom, I go, what? You're freaking 15. You're out of how, like, you're done in 3 years. You're cooked. What do you want?
Oh, I am so done. You know what? I was done with children. I'm going to say having children, even though I didn't birth a child before 15. I was done having children by the time I was 15 because I have 5 younger sisters. And I am surprised that I have 2. And I'm so grateful that I have 2, but I don't want any more.
Well, fair enough. But I remember my friend saying to me, Maria, don't you just want to live? And I'm like, well, I don't know. See, you know what I would love? I would love to have them up until they're 12. I tell people, enjoy them till they're 12. Then the hormones come in and then it's a different beast. I tell my children, my children were so joyful. They were always smiling. They were always laughing. We started going on cruises when they were 6 months old. They would sit in the high chair for 2 hours, an hour and a half every night for dinner. They were
Wow.
so well behaved. Now they're assholes. Excuse my language. Now they're fighting and bickering and squealing. And I'm like, you didn't squeal when you were a little kid. Anyway, so
They're just
never a dull moment.
learning to be themselves. David says,
Yes.
my homeschooled daughter is gearing up to homeschool her own kids soon. Yep, it's well worth it. It's so, so worth it. Lots of co-ops now and everything. So anyway, this has been a fun conversation today. And I want to thank all of you for being here. We'll talk about the next gate 29, with the other one. The in the 6th line, it changes to Virgo. So we'll just attach it to the Virgo one. And okay, and tomorrow, let's see, this evening is Namaste Today with Christopher.
Yes.
And then again on Wednesday, of course, we have Oracle reading. So if anyone wants to join us there, and I could see Maris and Maria, you both got your readings, and David, you were there Wednesday evening with us. So thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you all. And if you have any questions or if there's anything that we can do for you in the group, let us know. And also, if any of you want more intimate readings for human design or whatever, or card readings or anything, I do have options for that in my booking app. I also have an option to leave a love offering if anyone wants to give a love offering or appreciation offering for anything that I've been offering in the group. And that is, of course, graciously and gratefully received if you desire to do that. And I will see you all later, and you have a lovely evening or afternoon, wherever time zone that you're in. And we'll talk later. Mary says, thank you, Shelley. See you all. Yep. Thank you. All right. Have a lovely day.
Shelley, do you
Yes.
do you know Cassandra?
I don't know her personally.
Okay.
Yeah. I just met her when coming into the group. So,
Okay. She's getting over COVID.
oh, is she? Okay. Yeah. And I
Yeah,
don't, she's not a moderator in the group anymore. It was too much responsibility. She had 2 other things on her plate. So she left being the moderator. So,
oh
but she,
wow. Okay.
yeah, she's still there. You can still get in touch with her. So, anyway. All right.
Okay. Thank
Hey.
you for today.
Yep.
Have
Thank
a
you.
great weekend.
Yeah, you too. Bye bye.
Bye.